My name is Chief Strongblood. I am St. Vincent and the Grenadines' favorite and most hated son. I am the diaspora, which is my people. It was another beautiful day for a protest, and I enjoyed every moment of my protest. Let me first remind you, the founder of my sign says, I don't want the white man's money, the white man's woman, the white man's friendship, and all the white man's fame. And the words of my sign says, white man, why have you re-enslaved the African American? All in all, it was another beautiful day for a protest, and I enjoyed every moment of my protest. There is nothing particularly interesting that I should bring to your attention as it relates to my protest. And as you know, when I have protested and when I have updated you as to what transpired while I protested, it is always my pleasure and my delight to bring to you something from the word of the Most High, God. Well, in this case, something of a social nature. My people, everyone who knows me knows that I am from Bottomtown. And anyone who knows Bottomtown knows that Bottomtown was once a very rough area. A lot of crime and criminals dwell in that part of the city. And from a very early age, I was exposed to a lot of serious and hardened criminals. I have sat at the feet of these criminals and I heard their stories of their criminal exploits. I heard their stories of adventures in and outside of prison. I heard the detailed accounts of how they commit certain crimes and got away with it. I sat at their feet. Many of those hardened criminals took me as a little brother. They look out for me. They have never encouraged me into criminal activities. They have never encouraged me into illegal or immoral practices. They took me to discourse and parties with them as a teenager, early teenager. When I was with those guys, I could not smoke. They told me that I have a responsibility to ensure that if anything happened, I must be able to give them an account as to what happened because they will drink and they will smoke. My responsibility was to remain sober and look out for them. My father was a very serious man. My father didn't play around with criminals or crime. He knew I was with these guys. He didn't stop me. But I assume it was my father who gave them the instructions as to what they must allow me to do or not to do. When they were going to commit their crimes, they always send me away. But I will hear of their stories and how they did it. Let me tell you something. I am speaking about people who committed murder. They got away with some, they were arrested for some, and they do time for some. I'm speaking about people like Tin Legs. These guys have never encouraged me into criminal activities. I'm speaking about people like Vampa and Brian Seals and Tululu the Crab. I'm speaking of people like my friend Colin Kane, Tala. Tala and these people always ensure that I was safe whenever I was in their presence or with them anywhere. Their priority was always my safety. Tululu Crab said to me once, Palmer, say, Alan, let me tell you something. I have done enough jail time for me and you. So one thing I don't want to hear you getting involved in is criminal activities that see you go to prison. Because I have done enough jail time for me and you. These are the countries that these men give to me. Never once had they encouraged me to commit any crime. When they were going to commit their crime, they sent me away because they didn't want me around. They didn't want me to become implicated in criminal activities. Now here we have a Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Ralph Gonsalves. He is supposed to be the custodian of our people and the resources. Yet this man is coming to California to try to induce homosexuals, to induce me into homosexuality. My criminal friends and compadre and big brothers have never done this because he wants to make me a slave. He is trying to get people to induce me into me putting my dick up their asses. Why would I do such a thing like that? Why would I get involved with homosexuality in any form, in any manner? I don't even entertain the thoughts of homosexuality. There's a Mexican guy to me. This Mexican guy, but I don't know if he's a guy or what. Big breasts. But he always in Dickies pants. And his pants is always sagging space at the bottom. Never fully pulled up as a woman will wear their pants. And Dickies are men's work pants. I thought this guy, well, I thought it was a female. But apparently it's a guy. So I saw the person, I spoke to the person, and we had a fairly good conversation, and I tried to encourage the person because I know that all of these guys here, they are not really bad people, but a lot of them were raped as children. Like this guy, he's one of those guys who one of those Hollywood people would have raped and exploit and send them to do surgical procedure, augmentation, and have these guys walking around with breasts. I know it's an unfortunate situation for them. I know the reality is a lot of these guys went to prison and they saw their friends and comrades and other people in prison having sexual intercourse with each other, and they thought it was normal. They didn't know the consequence. And when they did it, they find themselves in a situation where they are now the slave of a white man. I know that they are good people in their hearts, but their present condition have put them in a situation where they are not able to direct their own affairs, where they are not able to make decisions for their own benefit and for the benefit of their people. They are now the slave of the white man. So I talked to the guy good and give him some good counsel and tell him, man, it does not matter what happened in the past. All you have to do is look forward to the future and do things that is helpful and beneficial to you, your people, and your community. After I gave that guy that pep talk, I didn't have anything else to say to him. He is not going to automatically become my friends. I don't do the friending. I don't want these people here for friends. You understand? And I see this guy start appearing everywhere I go. He's showing up. But when I see him, I will ignore him because we are not friends. A conversation don't make you a friend. You don't choose me for a friend. I choose who I want to be my friends. The Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines is using the resources of St. Vincent and the Grenadines to pay these guys to see if they can induce me into homosexual activities. They're trying to destroy me with one blow. They will never get through. Ralph Gonsalves knows that my protest is going to bring him down. He knows that he's kept in power by these evil white people here in California. And each time they come and they drive by and they see me with my sign, it hurt their heart. It hurt their feelings. I don't tell them at the beginning of my protest a year and a half ago that my protest will end when either one of two things happen. It's either when Ralph Gonsalves is dead or when he's out of office. They have the power to ensure that any one of those things they want to come to pass will come to pass. They have the authority to kill him anytime they want to kill him. It's them that keeping him alive. And it is them who is keeping him in power. If they tell him to get out of power, you have to get out of power. My protest will not finish until he's out of power or dead. He begged them for one more chance to come to see if he and Richard Ross could induce me into homosexuality. I ain't the kind of man who finds another man appealing. I don't care whether he's a metrosexual or what kind of sexual. I don't care if he have a breast or what he has. I don't find men sexually appealing. My desire for women is great, but there are a lot of simple things that are deal breakers and turn off with women. Let me give you an example. I was very friendly with this Mexican girl. Nice girl. Big boobs and all this kind of high quality she has. Not big chests, but big boobs. And I love my lady with nice good boobs. And we planning our dates and all this kind of thing. And I was at her workplace. And I saw the lady stretch up to either get something off of her shelf. And when her blouse went up, and I saw the paleness of her back, and I almost vomit. I was on the train the other day, and when I was on the train station, a white lady, curvaceous white lady, came and stood next to me. And I admired her, she looked decent. So when I was on the train, I saw the lady, I saw her big neck. And I tell you, I stare at that neck. And when I look at that neck, I get nauseated to the point where I have to grab a plastic bag from my bag, and I start throwing up in the bag. Does Richard Ross and Ralph Gonsalves think a man with such a high intolerance for basic things can ever get involved with homosexuality? Would I do such a thing and sin against my God? Is he crazy? This man has to be sick in his head. Do you think you're going to have me like how you have Hans King, Luke Brung, Soboto Caesar, and the whole host of them? No. I may not get to help Tin Legs. I may not get to help Brian Seals because he has passed away. I may not get to help Ja'ai. But I'm surely going to preserve my freedom, my dignity, and my integrity. So when I return to my country, I will be able to help their children and their grandchildren, because I am going to ensure that St. Vincent and the Grenadines becomes a model country. We will be small, but we will have force wall amenities. Vincentians will be respected the world over. Not because of anything Ralph Gonsalves did, James Mitchell, Friday. They don't have the quality to lead. But when I take over, I will show you what leadership is all about, what development, true development is all about. I will not only develop the country, I will develop the people. Because if the people is not riding the train of development, the country could not grow, will not grow. And I will not be developing my country, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, based on handouts from a white nation. You see, that is how they were taught, that you have to depend on the white nations and tourism and all of these things. Foolishness. Tourism and white investment put more strain on the country's infrastructure and everything else than any real development would ever do. Here is the beginning of criminal activities in the country. When you bring these white people into your country, you're bringing crime because they have powers that we don't know about, that they use on us without our knowledge. You think our crime situation is by chance? It is by design, because they can only function properly in a place where the other nations are in turmoil. If the black nation, the Mexicans, the Arabs are not in turmoil, the Caucasians cannot function, they cannot be happy, they are uncomfortable. That is why everywhere they go, they bring violence and crime with them. For it is the only how they can feel comfortable. Remember to like this video, share this video, leave a comment on this video. Like or subscribe to this page or channel from wherever you're watching from. And remember, there are many, many, many more videos like this right here. Go peruse those videos and let me know what are your thoughts about those videos. And remember that I am Chief Strongman. I am St. Vincent and the Grenadines' favorite and most hated son. I am the diaspora machismo.